All right, so let's talk about how the GOP's war on veterans is blowing up in their faces right now because they are getting absolutely torched right now. And honestly, they kind of deserve it.
You're lying. I'm a veteran and you don't give a about me. You're taking shut the up. You don't get the do this to us. You don't get to take away our rights. You don't get to take our rights. Get off of me. You don't get to do this to us.
We love to see it, don't we? The sweet, unfiltered sound of reality. Imagine risking your life for this country, your country, only to have guys like Representative Chuck Edwards here turn around and gut the very benefits you bled for. But don't worry, they'll still give you a flag at your funeral. So, priorities. But you got to give credit to our friend Chuck here. Republican politicians have been digging this grave for themselves for a minute now. But Chuck has been the only one I have seen who has been brave enough to lay down in it without needing to push.
Oh, Trump and Musk have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Trump and Musk have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Trump and Musk have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Trump and Musk have got to go!
Trump and Musk have got to go! Vote next, baby!
Yeah, this is where we are. Veterans shouldn't have to beg for the health care they were promised. But here we are. Because people screaming, support the troops, are the same ones slashing VA funding. And if you think they're limiting this assault to just veterans, you'd be absolutely wrong. Next on the chopping block is the elderly.
We came in, we've got this great event, this great facility, great business, and of course great workers, and I'm sure all of us saw there were a few protesters outside. And I can't be the only person wondering, it's a little after noon on a Friday, and don't you all have jobs? Who are the people? And I think that's one of the reasons why we've got to rebuild American manufacturing and support great companies like Vantage Plastics, because we want those people to get off the streets and back to work. It'd be good for them, and it'd be good for everybody else, too.
J.D. Vance, just oozing charm and charisma. The gold standard of fake populism. Telling seniors who've already worked 40, 50 years to just go get a job. Go back to the coal mines. Maybe Grandpa can start driving Uber with his oxygen tank at the passenger seat. The only person less amused than I am by that attempt at a joke, maybe, is his wife. Go back and look at her face. And while JD is mocking struggling retirees and his administration is gutting benefits for veterans, there are some government officials calling him out.
Nearly 6,000 veterans have already lost their jobs and been terminated from federal service at an unprecedented rate, and will all enter the civilian workforce with less protections. While my time is limited, I just wanted to say this. This isn't subjective. This is evidence. This is evidence. In less than 2 months, this administration has proved itself to be the most anti-veteran administration ever.
2 months. 2 months. That's all it took for these people to set up a speed run record for screwing over our veterans. And who could have seen this coming from a president who referred to veterans as suckers and losers? It's shocking. But wait. Like most things with the Trump administration, it gets worse. Because not only are they gutting veteran care, they also come from Medicaid too. And who better to defend those cuts than Americans' favorite TV grifter?
Oh, yes or no is, since you cherish Medicaid, will you agree to oppose cuts in the Medicaid program?
I cherish Medicaid, and I've worked within the Medicaid environment quite extensively, as I highlighted, practicing at Columbia University.
That's not the question, Doctor. The question is, will you oppose cuts to this program you say you cherish? Time's short.
I want to make sure that the patients today and in the future have resources to protect them if they get ill. The way you protect Medicaid is by making sure that it's viable at every level, which includes having enough practitioners to afford the services, paying them enough to do what you request of them, and making sure that patients are able to actually use Medicaid.
Let the record show that I asked a witness who said he cherishes this program, will you agree to oppose cuts? And he would not answer a yes or no question.
A yes or no question. And Dr. Oz, who has aged like 50 years since the last time he's been on camera, had a full systems crash. Maybe those miracle supplements he's been hawking all these years don't actually work. Speaking of, let's take a trip inside the mind of Dr. Oz, where healthcare isn't a right, it's a festival event.
Now, when you go home today, what should you do? I think you ought to think about 15-minute physicals. Your local hospitals will fund these. They're incredibly inexpensive to run. You can screen thousands of people for almost nothing, and you allow a conversation to take place in more of a festival-like setting. It's not scary. And I mentioned earlier that almost everybody who comes to our 15-minute physicals has a job, but a lot don't have insurance. Give them a way of crawling back out of the abyss of darkness, of fear over not having the health they need, and give them an opportunity, because they don't have the right to health, but they have the right to access, to a chance to get that health.
When you have to use the phrase, it's not scary, when describing your healthcare philosophy, you might be off the reservation just a bit. A festival-like setting, like Coachella and colonoscopies. Step right up, folks. Get your blood pressure checked between the fried Oreos and the carousel. It would be funny if this didn't come from the man who's in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. And in case you forgot, Dr. Oz built his entire career scamming desperate people out of their money.
Will you confirm for the record today that you no longer believe raspberry ketones to be a, quote, miracle in a bottle?
There are many things I said on the show I take great pride in the research we did at the time to identify which of these worked and which ones didn't. Many of them are still being researched, like the green coffee bean extract you just mentioned.
So how much were you paid to promote these supplements?
The television show was distributed by Sony Corporation.
How much were you paid to promote the supplements?
I was paid nothing to promote the supplements. But
you promoted them on your show, and there was something called a Dr. Oz effect. You would mention them and the sales would go way up.
That was written about by the press. That was not something that I would talk about on the show.
I will just go on the record that you have been nominated to run the largest health programs, the set of largest health programs in the United States of America. And it seems to me you are still unwilling to take accountability for your promotion of unproven snake oil remedies to millions of your viewers. And that's really concerning. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Oz, the man who convinced millions that raspberry ketones, whatever the hell that is, would make them skinny, now has a say in national healthcare policy. What could possibly go wrong? But this isn't just about Medicaid. This isn't just about Social Security. This is about a party that has spent decades using veterans and the elderly as political props. Then just to toss them aside the very instant they become no longer useful. They don't see veterans, they see budget cuts. They don't see seniors, they see entitlement reform. They don't see the working class, they see welfare queens. But you know who they do see? Every time. They see the billionaires waiting in the wings for their tax breaks. And surprise, surprise, they always get them. And now people are fed up. That veteran at the town hall, he ain't an outlier. He's every veteran who got lied to. He's every American who's getting used. And this is just the beginning. Because Republicans aren't just gutting health care, they're putting scam artists in charge of it. Donald Trump nominated Dr. Oz, who's best known for selling miracle pills to desperate people, to run Medicare and Medicaid. The man who said to the uninsured, you don't have a right to health. Now he's in charge of a program that keeps tens of millions of Americans alive. That's not just corruption, that's cruelty by design. And this betrayal is decades boiling over. The Republican con job is unraveling in real time. And that's exactly what they're terrified of. Because once people wake up to the scam, they're not going back. And come election time, the reckoning is coming. Veterans are done being ignored. Seniors are done being laughed at. And voters, they're not falling for this grift over and over again. The GOP has had years to prove they actually care about the people they claim to fight for. And what do? When they run for office, they say they have concepts of a plan. But once they get elected, they gut VA funding, they attack Social Security, they come for Medicaid, and they tear through federal benefits just like a baseball through a Cybertruck. And then the cherry on top is they put a snake oil salesman in charge of what's left, just to wring every last drop they can get out of all these systems before they collapse. Well, now they're going to find out what happens when the people they screw over start fighting back. And I have a sneaking suspicion they ain't going to like it.